Hey folks, welcome back to Gaming Garbage where we take a look at games, chat about the gaming news in the industry, and of course, stream for fun. Today we're talking about Crimson Desert. This is roughly my 35-hour review, and I will be continuing to play the game. I'm probably going to have hundreds of hours, just like I did in Elden Ring, because it is that type of a exploration world environment. And I would even say too that it's better. Uh, and now I can't go through everything. I haven't seen everything. I can't necessarily talk about everything. But we're going to go through a little bit of the story. We're going to go through the world and the scope a little bit. We're going to go through combat and some mechanics and just my overall sense of the game so far and how appreciative I am of Pearl Abyss. We're also going to go through some of the patches that they've done, some future content that they're going to look at, if I can remember, and then we're also going to take a look at actually how the game is doing. Let me pull that up real quick so that I don't forget. Okay, so my idea with this review is to look to see if the devs ultimately nailed the game they wanted to make, whether it's built for you and I or not, right? That's what I'm going to be looking at. Also, how does it compare with other games in its genre? And then it's ultimately up for you at the end to decide if this game is for you or not. So let's talk about the story. Ultimately, you're a gray mane with a fighting with a warring faction that is wiping out your own clan. You find yourself meeting a small group of people with high level of technology in an alternate medieval world or universe. Learning about the greater threat to the world, and their tech becomes available to you. And that tech becomes more available as you play. The story has a thread that is the main story, with hundreds of other stories that weave to create the world that you explore. The story isn't the main part of the story, it is your overall experience in the game. Because no one is going to have exactly the same experience like everyone else. It's going to be different for everybody. So you're going to run into things that others aren't going to see or are never going to see. Years later, there will still be things that will be undiscovered in the game, which is crazy. Everyone's experience is going to be different, and there will be things that players will miss because they turned right instead of left, or figured out a puzzle when others didn't, or happened upon a shrine in a dense forest, or found a false wall in a random manner. So, like, the level of detail, everything has a purpose, everything has some layer to it. There's no just random rock, right? Or some random building there necessarily. Now, of course, not everything has like major loot or like some interesting story or whatever, but you never know what you're going to bump into. And the level of surprise that you're going to have in the game is pretty slow in the beginning, roughly within that first 10 hours. But as you explore, as you get more abilities, as you kind of happen upon more things, you're going to start seeing a trend of like this level of excitement and satisfaction of exploring and wondering what's over the next hill. Ultimately, too, I see the game as something like Just Cause. I think the map is actually bigger than the Just Cause map, which is kind of insane because that map is huge because we actually have two maps. And there's like a level that I think is starting to open up in the game for me a little bit with the story and the lore and the universe because, yeah, now I'm integrating more into that second map. The gameplay that you're going to experience is going to be more kind of like Oblivion Skyrim or like Kingdom Come Deliverance. So, like, there's going to be villages, there's going to be different people to interact with, your relationships with those people matter, how you present yourself, what you're doing. I mean, even being able to break too much within the city walls of a town is going to get you a fine for vandalism. And there's other crimes that you can ultimately commit too. It is relatable with Kingdom Come Deliverance 1 and 2 because of how kind of simulatory the thing is and the level of detail of cooking and chopping down trees. And um, I just tried to tame a horse, which I can't even do. It's way harder than Red Dead Redemption. Oh my word! But yeah, trying. There's also other mini games. There's arm wrestling and there's archery and all sorts of stuff too that I'm sure I haven't even discovered yet. There's a whole thing too of alchemy and chemistry involved in the game. And there's plenty of other things too that you can work toward if you wish. I don't feel like all of these mechanics are things that I have to work on or do, or that I have to necessarily complete some of these missions. I will in the beginning, right within that first 10 hours, because the game is trying to show me the depth that the game has. But again, if I don't want to do those things, then I don't have to worry about those things necessarily. It's not going to hinder me too much. said too that the game really reminds me a lot of kind of the world and exploration of like Elden Ring or kind of like No Man's Sky. And there's a lot of details and things that have been built into the game that are very much reminiscent of an MMO. And there's a reason for that. A little bit of backstory with the studio, Pearl Abyss. Well, they made Black Desert roughly over the last decade. And that is a large MMO, massive uh, multiplayer online. That is a free to play game that launched in 2015 and was basically everywhere by 2017. And it's made over $2.1 billion in revenue. So they've done pretty good for themselves. They've made a good chunk of money off of that. I don't know exactly how much is profit, but they are a publicly traded company. That information would be available. Crimson Desert is also their first single player game, as far as I know, and is designed very much around that experience of an MMO. And that is what some of the sticker points were for people playing the game, is that some things took too long building the knowledge base, waiting for bars to fill up, or having to hold down things. Also, too, they're used to players probably generally playing on Steam or PC in some capacity. And so the whole kind of controller button layout is pretty rough, doesn't feel overly intuitive, but they are working on that. They just released their patch for PC stuff for controls. I don't know how that's doing, but again, the review score continues to go up. We were just at an 80 a couple of days ago, and now we're at an 81% on Steam, which I think is great. The thing, too, is that that patch is also coming for console in the future. So yeah, they've already had experience making a game, building the lore, making the world, developing the stories, and while they admit that the story is not really done in a way that they wished, they focused on making more of the gameplay and making it fun, making the exploration enjoyable, and really building out the world. Let's talk about the world and the scope of the game. So you can tell when you get to that second map, when it's revealed, that there's going to be a lot more game there. There's going to be a lot more lore. There's going to be also a lot more mechanics in the game that are available to you, maybe than before. And then also we've seen some of the trailers and stuff that have shown like flying dragons and breathing fire and all of that kind of thing. So yeah, it's way, way bigger, but that too is also more end game type of stuff or further into the world. I think I'm very far away from that type of stuff. There will also be things that you'll never discover in the game because it is simply so big. Just because you didn't go around that other corner and see a little hole in the wall that was kind of dark, and because you didn't go in there, you didn't see that it had a chest with some kind of unique or special loot that, or a weapon or something, or maybe even a secret passage into a underground labyrinth of some type of old ancient facility with some old technology in it. I mean, what looks like nothing could turn into something that can be a couple of hour adventure, which is cool. This happened to me when I was in a manor. I happened upon it. There was some family drama going on that ultimately led to a boss fight, and I had a lot of fun in there, but there were some things too that were very unique about the manor and the estate. And so I took some time to poke around. I found that there was ultimately a false wall, which which was kind of cool. I was not expecting that at all. And also, there was another whole secret compartment with a couple of items that you need to find, basically keys. And once I had found those, well, hey, I opened up another section, which led to a whole other area that was hidden and got some very interesting stuff from there. But there's also some other doors that I still haven't unlocked. And so there's just hidden compartments within that manor. And while it is a very small area, it is kind of difficult to somewhat figure out. And there's multiple puzzles within that manor, and I still have a key for that manor that I don't know where it goes. And I'm sure there's still some hidden areas in there as well. And that is just some random manor that you come across in the game. And I also came across a massive vault door that is literally like recessed right into the cliff face, out in the middle of nowhere at the end of a canyon. So yeah, that type of stuff is pretty common. So exploration is very rewarding and satisfying in that way. There's also layers of puzzles, like I said, and the puzzles are going to definitely stop some people. There's going to be a lot of guide potential, of course, for this game. because again, it's so big and so vast, just like Elden Ring was, or maybe Baldur's Gate 3, or even Blueprints. That would be another good example of that. But yeah, the puzzles are definitely going to be hindering some people because they're not used to that. They're not thinking in that way. But if you're like me, like a Myst or Riven player or Uru or something like that, you're going to have quite a bit of fun with the puzzles. Or if you enjoyed Blueprints, it's going to be right up your alley. There's also gear, skills, mounts, the relationships, the gathering of resources. It all takes time in the game. So cutting down a tree and gathering the wood that you need, or the types of wood, or going and looking for material veins for like ores and copper and things like that, or other metals. Being able to gather the flowers that you need for alchemy, or skinning the animals, or hunting the animals. There is so much there in detail. Even fishing, I can't even fish. It's just so it's just so hard to get the mechanic down. Maybe it's easier on PC. I don't know, but yeah, fishing is not just like wheeling it out and reeling it in and you caught a fish. No, there's actually some like effort there, and that's kind of the thing with everything in the game. There's a level of effort, and so when you start accomplishing some of the stuff in the game, there's a real level of satisfaction that most games don't have today. But yeah, the amount of gear, the skills, all of that stuff, it's quite big, and it adds potential, and the game, it has a lot of liberty to it. So depending on what you want to do, how you want to do it, when you want to do it, if you find it at all, is really up to you and kind of how you play and your play style. Again, the game is very, very rewarding. And with the 35 hours I've roughly played so far, I feel like I just haven't even really touched the surface. The map itself, I've probably uncovered about 20 or 30% of the map, but I know that there's just in the spot that I've uncovered, there is so much that I've missed. There is so much. And the cool thing too with the world is that none of it feels procedurally generated. While I'm sure some of it is, it looks genuinely made by people, by devs that care about the game. And they're thinking about the flow of the world, they're thinking about the level design, where buildings would be, right? Everything makes sense. Everything looks realistic in that sense for like the layout. Um, and that's too what makes some of the exploration so fun is if you think that would be a good place to hide something, or a good area to kind of hide or shade something in the shadows, then yeah, you're probably right. And it's worth exploring and poking around. Even just poking around a ruin earlier today, I found some random little room, and was able to solve the puzzle and got a good piece of loot that I'm currently wearing. And I love that about the game. Taking a look too at the combat, well, the game actually starts pretty simplistic on the combat, and there are plenty of tutorials that you're going to run into just on the combat and skills alone. But yeah, it's what we would expect, swords, shields, daggers, spears, bows, all of that kind of stuff, and then light and heavy attacks. But as you progress in the game and as you get more skills or abilities or even kind of unique weapons, you start adding and kind of layering on different things in the game uh, for your actual combat. So there's elements, there's the unique weapons, and there's other skills and stuff. There's other abilities too of like high tech that you'll be able to acquire that can help shape and shift your actual combat or play style in the game. And then too, your combat also has to level up kind of with the environments that you explore. So where you start is very easy, and as you expand outward, well, it becomes more difficult. And your combat style will have to level up in order to actually start dealing with some of those bosses and even just basic enemies. I came across some recently, and I struggle just to kill the basic guy, which is kind of insane. And then when there's 15 of them, yeah, it's a really, really big problem, and I die actually quite quickly. So I love that about the game. There's more there, but I don't want this to run forever. But the biggest thing that I can say about the game is how genuinely cared for it is by the devs. They're truly trying to make something that is a game first, that is experience first, no store, Right now, they have committed to giving just free updates to the game or maybe some small little things. They will continue to fix it. We know, too, that there's a lot of devs that are shifting over to another project of theirs. They're going to leave a smaller crew to continue to work on Crimson Desert. And DLC in the future is not off the table, which I think is incredibly exciting. And I think they should go for it because the world is so incredibly big. There is so much they could actually do there. While the story is kind of hard to get into and is kind of choppy and not necessarily written the best, it is very interesting when you start going different places. You start following the main quest line. That's probably what I would suggest. Follow it for quite a while, maybe through chapter 5 or something like that. But the game is just so well done for those that want to play something like Oblivion again. Because Oblivion itself, it was clanky, janky, right? But again, there was so much to explore. It was such an experience to actually play the game. Same with like Fallout 3 or Fallout 4 or Skyrim for some people, or even Starfield now, right? Or Kingdom Come Deliverance. I mean, pick your massive game, or like Far Cry 5 was another good one, or Hogwarts Legacy, or Just Cause. The world is made and designed for you to play in. And that's exactly what Crimson Desert is. It does take a while to get into, but if you are patient with yourself in learning the game and getting some of that stuff, the level of satisfaction is huge. And the thing that I appreciate most about the game is it's not trying to be gimmicky. The game is not designed to really waste your time. The game is designed to give you a rewarding experience. So it's not live service gimmick. It's not trying to purposefully make you grind for stuff just to be grinding stuff. Okay, you're actually trying to do things to enhance your gameplay, to get you to different items that you can work toward in the game, or to find things. And the game is pretty much rewarding on every single level. And you're going to learn to grow to appreciate it. And if you've been waiting for another kind of Oblivion, Skyrim level type of game, this is really what you want. You're probably going to love this. And while $70 is kind of steep for some people, I think you're really going to love it. And if you're kind of worried about how much money, how much time you're going to spend in this, if you really kind of love the game or are okay with coming back to games after a while, you're going to be spending hundreds of hours probably in this game. So you can work through the main story, but it is so way above um, kind of what we would expect from a game like this. And because, just the scope. This is like a game with 3 or 4 years of content shoved into it. It's really just kind of insane. There is so much. And then, too, there's a lot of things that they think of. Again, being able to do vandalism as a crime, having to pay the fine, being able to go to prison if you cause too much trouble in a certain area or region. You have to worry about hot and cold. You have to worry about your gear. You can refine and upgrade your stuff. You can even just find random sharpening stones and sharpen your weapon and get kind of a buff for a while until you use it enough to wear that off. You can also do that for your armor too. The different types of weapons, the different types of skills, the companions in your party. You can play them too. So it is not just Cliff, the main character. There's other characters to play. So again, when I talk about the scope of the game, it is really just immense compared to what most people are used to. It is really, truly next level. So, yeah, dude. And it looks good. And so far, they've been getting on those patches. They've been fixing stuff for PlayStation. They've been fixing stuff for PC. They've been putting out performance patches. They've been tweaking and fixing some of the quest issues in the game or other bugs. They're working on controls right now. PC's already out. Console is coming. I will say, though, that the game is big. What's on the physical disc for my Xbox is roughly about 40 gigs, but the update that I needed was 121 gigs for the game. But it's believable why the game is so big. And while the graphics may not necessarily be perfect, if you definitely want that frame rate, they did definitely improve it. So I can play on balance now without getting eye strain and kind of feeling sick after a while, which is nice. I used to only be able to play on performance, but yeah, I can play on balanced. And not necessarily have that issue. So they have optimized the game. I do believe there are more optimization patches coming. They have even talked about possibly putting in co-op maybe to some degree. But again, that would be a massive optimization thing that they would have to do to actually have two players in there. But I've gone on enough. My overall review of the game is pretty much a 9 out of 10. I really think it's good. It really suits me very, very well. Again, for people that really need a specific and focused story, this probably isn't going to be for you. But if you enjoy Elden Ring or you enjoy Starfield or Oblivion and Skyrim, you're going to be enjoying just the type of world that's available to you to explore and the amount of skills and the amount of things you can do. And the cool thing, too, is that if you don't want to be super sweaty, grindy in the game, you don't have to do that. There's other things you can do. There's other things you can work toward for an hour or a couple of hours, like after a day of work. And you can just kind of sit down and just kind of chill in the game. And two, the game is visually beautiful. It is really something with what they've made. There is one issue, though, that I have that I see is that there's ghosting, especially the higher the contrast, like darks against whites or vice versa. And that's something that we get to see in Unreal Engine, but this is in their own engine called, I think it's called Black Space. And, but yeah, their own engine does have the same problem. So if they could work on fixing that, that would be nice. Because yeah, sometimes my sword is like skitter scattered across the screen and kind of like stays there for a while, or leaves that are blowing while I'm trying to look at the ocean, and I just have these streaks going across the ocean of where the leaves used to be. So yeah, there are some small issues like that, but yeah, the scope and scale that they were looking for, they absolutely nailed. Absolutely nailed. And comparing this game to others like it in its genre, this game is like right up there toward the top, toward peak. It is really, really good. And while it doesn't hit necessarily on everything, the things that it does hit on is right at pretty much 10 out of 10. And there's other things that are maybe a 6 out of 10 or a 7 out of 10 or an 8. And so, yeah, kind of the average is, for me, probably around an 8.5 or a 9 for my overall score out of 10. But yeah, with what they wanted to make, with what they wanted to build for players, they absolutely hit it out of the park. And I can't wait to play more, dude. I cannot wait to play more. Like, this is going to be a game that I'm absolutely going to get lost in, just like I did Oblivion and Skyrim and Fallout 3 and Kingdom Come Deliverance. I haven't played the second one yet. But yeah, it is just so incredibly fun. And the thing, too, that's cool is that if you want to be able to come back, or you want to take a break for a while or have to, you certainly can. You can come back and kind of see where your stuff is. Now, the UI, it's busy. Okay. The map, too, is busy. There are some things that are definitely unintuitive about the game. So I suggest watching some videos. I have a video myself here at the end screen talking about how to navigate the map, use some of the UI a little bit, just to kind of help people better understand some of the user interface. And they might even tweak it by now, who knows, by the time you're watching this. But the last thing, too, I want to cover is what the actual review scores are. For Crimson Desert so far, we're at an 81%, which this has definitely been moving up. This was like a 60 or 65, and yeah, we're at an 81% now. The player chart does show that it's really good. We've had a few times where we have beaten the peak launch of the game, which is great. And yeah, we actually did it on Sunday. They did a wonderful job. So, yeah, people are really enjoying this game. They've already sold 3 million copies. I don't think they'll have any trouble getting to 5 million. And definitely, probably by 3 million, they've made their money back. They did an excellent job at that. When we take a look at Metacritic, critics were 98 reviews so far for PC. It does say that there's like 103, but some of them haven't been finalized yet. But yeah, we were sitting at a 78, and then also user score, almost 10,000 people with an 8.7. This, too, was also roughly a 7.6, 7.8, and yeah, it's been going up the more reviews come in with people playing the game. So they've done a wonderful job. I think IGN is really the whole point of puzzles, and the story is awful. Yes, and there are some bugs. Yes, but they've been working on fixing those. But yeah, the whole puzzle is really going to turn people off to the game because they don't know how to work puzzles. That's the point of a puzzle, guys. It's not supposed to be intuitive. Okay, it's not a PlayStation game. I'm sorry, but yeah, they're giving this game a 60, which it's definitely not in my opinion. But again, it might be for the person that actually reviewed this. Maybe Marathon is more up their alley. So, but yeah, very very good, very 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 well done game. They did exactly again what they wanted to do, what they set out to do. One critique that I do have to Pearl Abyss itself is you guys showed too much end game content. What I would consider end game, because I'm 35 hours in and I still have not come close to seeing any of this. So next time when you're marketing a game, kind of show stuff that's toward the beginning and then let the exploration and enjoyment and amazement take over itself as people post and share videos and shorts and that kind of thing. That's what I think you guys should have done, because I think that some of the disappointment that people are frustrated with is they're not getting a dragon anytime soon, right? And that's kind of the selling point that you had in your marketing material. But again, some people too, they will never see that because they'll go on to play other games and all that kind of stuff. So I see that as a little disingenuous, because if I'm looking at a car and I see these features and and you show me, you let me test drive all of that stuff, and then at the end you say, "Oh yeah, there's a subscription." Like there's a whole nother tier to basically get there. I'm not going to be as excited about that, right? And it's the same thing with, I think, some of the marketing that you guys had with showing the dragon, showing the mech, so showing some of this other stuff that again people will probably never see or necessarily get to. Yeah, I feel like that could have been done a little bit better. I think that's where some of the criticism actually comes from too. Thanks for tuning in, guys. That's my 35-hour review. I'm probably not going to have. I will do some updates on my channel as videos or posts, but I'm probably not having like another quote review video unless something crazy happens. But yeah, I'll kind of keep it up to date. But I'm looking forward to more games coming out this year and getting more content on the channel. So if you're interested, like, sub, all that jazz. If I did a good job, share the content for me, hype it, like it, comment, anything you can do to get it and keep it in the algos. I appreciate that very much. Also, you can follow me over at Twitch if you'd like, and when I can stream, I will chat with you guys at Don't Tread on Thee. And if not, hey, that's okay too. You can be a silent partner, whichever way floats your boat. But yeah, I just really enjoy the game. I really love it with what they're doing, and the liberty that exists, and how rewarding the exploration is. So with that, folks, thanks for tuning in. I'll see you guys on the next one.